burning some of the materials.
Strong lobby that is happy to have no trade restrictions on waste.
Contain what it says it does.
This is destined to Africa.
Luigi Garrett.
When you recycle your old smartphone, it doesn't go to a high-tech facility. It gets loaded onto a cargo ship and sent to a specific, highly toxic village thousands of miles away, where the entire economy runs on melting motherboards. This is the story of the poisonous tech graveyard villages of the modern world. Places where the hidden cost of our digital lives gets paid in poisoned rivers, golden-stained hair, and children's blood. In 2022, the world generated 62 million tons of electronic waste. That's enough to fill 1.55 million 40-ton trucks, roughly enough to form a bumper-to-bumper line that could circle the entire equator. And that number has surged 82% since 2010. But here's the detail that should stop you cold. Less than a quarter of that waste, just 22.3%, was documented as properly collected and recycled. The rest, most of it simply vanishes into a shadow economy that spans continents. The United States alone throws out nearly 8 million tons of electronic waste each year. That's more than 500 pounds every single second. And the US remains the only developed country on Earth that hasn't ratified the Basel Convention, the international treaty designed to prevent wealthy nations from dumping hazardous waste on poorer ones. That's not an oversight. It's a loophole the size of a shipping container. And shipping containers are exactly how this story unfolds. In 2014, the Basel Action Network, led by founder Jim Puckett, launched something brilliant. They placed 200 small GPS tracking devices inside old printers and monitors, then delivered them to recyclers and donation centers like Goodwill across the United States. What they discovered was staggering. Nearly 1/3 of those tracked devices got exported overseas, almost exclusively to Asia. Companies like Best Buy, Dell, and Goodwill were directly implicated. As Puckett put it, these companies present themselves as responsible recyclers, helping to solve the e-waste crisis. But our data and field investigations show a troubling pattern of exports. By 2025, BAN's investigation estimated that between January 2023 and February 2025, more than 10,000 shipping containers valued at over $1 billion of American electronic waste shipped to developing countries under dubious pretenses. 8 out of 10 identified brokers held R2v3 certifications, an industry standard specifically designed to prevent these exact practices. The certification meant nothing. So where does it all end up? Let's start with Guiyu, China. Once a quiet rice village in Guangdong province, Guiyu earned a different name, the world's most toxic place. For decades, it served as the planet's primary dumping ground, receiving close to 70% of the world's e-waste. Workers there burned cables to extract copper, releasing deadly cocktails of dioxins and furans. They dipped motherboards in sulfuric acid to pull out slivers of silver and gold. The pollution made the land unable to produce crops, the river became undrinkable, and 80% of the children in Guiyu suffered from lead poisoning, with blood lead levels 3 to 4 times higher than international safety limits. Newborns showed higher rates of preterm delivery, stillbirths, and low birth weight. Then in 2018, China slammed the door shut. The national sword policy banned the import of most plastics and recyclable waste, but the e-waste didn't stop being generated. It just changed destinations. The ASEAN region experienced a 171% surge in plastic waste imports, jumping from 836,000 tons in 2016 to over 2.2 million tons by 2018. Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, the Philippines all suddenly found themselves overwhelmed. The waste didn't disappear. Globalization simply rerouted it. Which brings us to Agbogbloshie in Accra, Ghana, once known as the world's largest e-waste dump site. Researcher Brandon Mark Finn from the University of Michigan found that as more people moved to Agbogbloshie, air pollution in the form of particulate matter intensified, further endangering human and environmental health. In 2021, the local government officially demolished the site, but informal e-waste recycling simply scattered into pockets near the old commercial district. And after President John Mahama's inauguration in 2025, the scrap workers returned to the demolished area. The graveyard, it seems, refuses to stay buried. And then there's Seelampur in Delhi, India, one of the largest informal e-waste dismantling markets in South Asia, with an estimated 25,000 workers. India is the world's third largest e-waste generator, producing 6.2 million tons in fiscal year 2024, but possessing only about 2 million tons of recycling capacity. Over 90% of India's e-scrap enters the informal sector. In Seelampur, teenagers like 15-year-old Shanu work stripping circuit boards barehanded. His hair shines golden in the sun, not from dye, but from copper extracts absorbed into his body. One teenage worker told reporters, "Nobody likes going to schools here because we make more money than a government servant does. On good days, we extract 10 kilograms of copper at 330 rupees per kilogram." Meanwhile, Muhammad Alauddin, an informal e-waste worker in Delhi, insists, "There is no need for gloves or masks. We are not dealing with anything dangerous here." But up to 1,000 different harmful chemical substances lurk inside each discarded device. Mercury from monitors attacks the brain. Lead from circuit boards damages kidneys and nerves. Flame retardants disrupt hormones. Children are often engaged specifically because their small hands are more dexterous. In Moradabad, known as Brass City, traders estimate about half the circuit boards from appliances in India eventually arrive. The poorest people in town buy the dust that remains after burning circuit boards, searching for traces of copper. Workers earn about 100 rupees per day. That's roughly $1.20. And here's the cruel irony at the heart of all of this. 1 ton of smartphones contains about 100 times more gold than 1 ton of gold ore. The raw materials in 2022's e-waste were valued at $91 billion. Only $19 billion was recovered. That leaves $62 billion worth of recoverable resources, copper, gold, silver, palladium, just rotting in landfills or being extracted by children dipping bare hands into acid baths. The WHO's Dr. Maria Neira said it plainly. Children and adolescents have the right to grow and learn in a healthy environment, and exposure to electrical and electronic waste and its many toxic components unquestionably impacts that right. Nearly 138 million children were engaged in child labor in 2024, including around 54 million in hazardous work. Between 2.9 and 12.9 million women of childbearing age may be at risk from toxic e-waste exposure, placing themselves and their unborn children in danger. As enforcement intensifies in places like Delhi, the industry doesn't collapse, it fragments. As one program officer at the NGO Toxics Link explained, the volumes have not really reduced. The business is still alive, but just not visible in Delhi anymore. It's moved to Loni, Meerut, smaller towns, deeper into the shadows. This is e-waste offshoring, not a failure of the system, but a feature of it. The globalized economy that puts a smartphone in every pocket has a back end, and that back end is a village where the water is undrinkable, where children's blood runs thick with lead, and where the dust from your old laptop is someone's livelihood. The world is projected to generate 82 million tons of e-waste by 2030, and the recycling rate is expected to drop from 22% to 20%. The tech graveyards aren't closing, they're multiplying.